the equivalent of a nuclear bomb just broke up over the PPC industry. Did you see Oppenheimer? Well, it's an Oppenheimer moment. So let's talk about what happened. The headline says it all. Google loses massive antitrust lawsuit over its search dominance. And I want to start this article off with a sentence that really kind of brings to bear what happened. While the courts did not find that Google has a monopoly in search ads, which is total bullshit. I don't know where they came up with that. They do have a monopoly. The broader strokes of the opinion represent the first major decision in a string of U.S. government-led competition lawsuits against big tech. Absolutely. And there is a weaponization of the Justice Department to go after certain big tech players. One of them is Google. I believe Facebook is another. I think there's also another they're planning to go after. But the fact they went after Google is, man, that's the juggernaut of them all. And when we look at the dissenting opinion of the judge, they say Google is monopolistic and has acted as one to maintain its monopoly. And they go on to quote, the judge says, it has violated Section 2 of the Sherman Act. Section 2 of the Sherman Act is the same section that was used to break up Microsoft. It was actually the Windows operating system at that time that was a huge pivot point that a lot of people were getting very angry because Microsoft had this huge monopoly over computer operating systems. So therefore, it was a default browser for a lot of things. It really controlled a lot of the computer space, if you will. The answer was for the government to come in and break Microsoft up. It actually broke up the operating system into its own company and for Windows, and then it actually broke up. It separated Microsoft, and Microsoft to this day still remains the same. But it actually, if you notice, Microsoft as a brand kind of went down after that. It kind of just kind of went down. I think they got their hands up really big. They actually had to pay some huge fines. And then they actually got into, ironically, the Xbox business, which I became part of as well. So that's kind of interesting. But going back to the competition part, when Google spends, I've actually done research into this. They say 10 billion, I think, in this article, but it's roughly 15 to 18 billion dollars in 2022 to be the dominant operating feature for iPhones. That is a lot of cash. It's so much cash that Apple actually said they don't want to use their own Apple search tech in their own iPhone. Now, if anybody knows this, there is Apple Search. And there's something called Apple Search ads in the PPC community. So there is, just like there is Google Search, there's Apple Search ads. And you can use those to buy search campaigns within Apple Search. The problem is, or what the sad thing is, they're getting so much damn money. They literally backed up a truck to the building that they don't want to use their own search. Shit, I wouldn't either if someone was paying me $18-15 billion a year to use their search. So it's very sad. When you think about it, it's kind of sad. Like, you have your own search operating system, you have your own device, but you don't want to plug that in because you're getting $18 billion from the dominant player in the Android business, which Google does provide the coding for Android, if you knew that, and that's how they're able to get their tentacles into that platform. But when you look at it, like, that's kind of sad. That's like really crazy. Now, I actually did, like I said, I did a video into this, and it's just that's just the way it's been. Another interesting element to this is how late this is. Like, guys, like, there was a key event in 2023 in July that changed the face of the world, and that was AI. AI debuted in July, end of July 2023, and it changed the way we view everything. Even Google changed. Like, they implement AI all over the place on their side, and AI became the new buzzword. What also happened was later, around about 2 months ago, ChatGPT is now forming their own search option. So think about that. They're actually going to form their own search, which means you have a couple of key players in the market. You have Apple Search, you have ChatGPT AI Search, you have DuckDuckGo, and then you have Bing, right? So you have four key players now. Now, does that necessarily mean that that there's no competition? Well, it doesn't, but from what the government is saying is it's been totally antitrust. Like, you've been slamming your competitors, not giving them time to breed or to surface so they can be used. And that, my friends, is kind of sad. And when you look at the instance of Apple, like, and it's a corporate decision, but could you imagine, like, you put all this tech into your own search and you're not even using it. That's very sad. Now we have to go into what's the larger scope of this, right? Like what will happen. So I looked around. I don't think they'll be broken up. I think there will be, like they talk about penalties. They also talk. This is actually interesting. AI. So the issue, right? And I think this may be, now that I really think this through, the leverage point. The leverage point, the fulcrum of this legal standing is the fact that they have this dominant position in search. And right now, search is it is Blue Link Media, right? So Blue Link Media powers Google right now, whether we like it or not. And so does shopping ads and all this other stuff in YouTube. But really, the Blue Link Media stuff is really what powers Google. The problem becomes if you're the top dog here and you're making this huge leap into AI and you're investing trillions into AI, and I mean that with a T, well, that means they become the dominant player with the next generation automatically, as opposed to another startup or letting someone resurface to come to the point. Because will search really be a thing moving forward when AI really becomes a feature? Probably not. I mean, look at what search is becoming now. Because now you have TikTok, which is the number one search option for millennials. They don't use Google, guys. They use TikTok, right? So then you have these other options as well that are slowly being used and that are needling down Google. I think I was seeing that since 2020, I think it had 93% of the market share. Now it has 86 and it's going down. The trend is going down. Now, is 86 monopolistic? Absolutely it is. But it's declining. So if it's declining, I think they're worried about the next generation of AI. And AI right now with its Gemini with Google. And that will be, they're already doing stuff with, I think they even have a option where with products, Google Merchant Center, I think uses AI. It's very, that will be the next wave. And they're cautious that eventually Google's going to leapfrog from search into AI and be the dominant player there and again, slamming the competition out. The other thing I wanted to bring up was this. This was kind of interesting. It's unclear what penalties Google will face as a result of the decision. The government has asked for structural relief, which in theory could mean the breakup of the company. Wow, that's big, guys. And then let's see here. This was interesting too, and this actually is what I was talking about. I did some research on this. I'm not saying I did do some research here. Microsoft chief executive, right? He testified he was concerned that his competitor's dominance had created a Google web, and that its relationship with Apple was oligopolistic. If Google continued undeterred, it would likely become the dominant in the race to develop AI. Wow. Yeah, that's literally what we were talking about. Man, that's incredible news. So we'll watch the next phase of this, which is in September. But I just thought this was a very cool something to talk about today on our channel. So again, any questions, feel free to leave them below and look forward to seeing the conversation on this. Thank you.